Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and this amazing series. I am Aditya. In this series, we are creating a chat application using MERN stack. So without any further ado, let's begin. Alright, so this video is going to be the last video of this series, and in this video, I will tell you what I have done behind the scene because it's just about creating the chat application and managing the tokens. So I have written the code beforehand so that I can explain it well, so that I can actually spend more time on explanation than coding because it kind of takes time in that. So I just coded beforehand so that I can just explain it fully. Okay, so let's begin. So first here, once we log in, so I just log in with my normal email and then we will go to our chat screen. Now this chat screen is again with the routes that we protected last time. It's all that. So I'll tell you the front end design, but before that, let me show you something what's happening behind the scene. So behind the scene, there are requests going to the server with the refresh token, and the refresh token is giving us a new access token, and those requests are going every 5 seconds. Okay. Now this will make sure that even we go off the screen, or if the user is doing something else and they come back to this chat, let's say after 10 minutes or maybe 1 hour, they will still be logged in because our refresh token is getting the access token behind the scene continuously. And where is it happening? So it is happening in our app.js over here. Okay, so in the app.js, in this highlighted code, so what's happening here? First, once we log in, I'm setting in the local storage the UUID of the user that I get from the user once it's logged. Okay, once that UUID is stored, all I need to do is just check if there is a UUID. If there is a UUID, just straight away make a post request to the server to get a new access token. Okay, now once the user log out, access token is gone from the cookie, refresh token is gone from the cookie, and also the UUID is deleted from the local storage. So in that case, user or this script has no way to get inside or ask for a new access token because there is no refresh token and no UUID. So how we are getting the access token? If I go to the code of in the user.js, so here we have the refresh token route. That's great. The second thing we have is the user controller. Here I have made some small changes to get the new refresh token. Okay, so over here you will see that previously there was this section was in the as a middleware, was acting as a middleware, but as we want to get the refresh token from the cookie rather than the body, so we need to get that middleware inside this grant new token function. Now let's see what's happening here. So here I have written a function to parse the cookie. Okay, so I'll tell you what that function is doing. So let me open that file over here. Perfect. And this get refresh token, what it is doing is, first, when we get the cookie from the header, each cookie will be semicolon separated. Okay, so what is this cookie.split is going to do is that semicolon separated string, we are splitting it at the semicolon into an array. So for instance, suppose there is a refresh token, let's just an example. Okay, something like this, then there will be another access token, something like this, and then the another, maybe let's say there is UUID if we set in the cookie, for example. So each cookie, this will be an entire string, and each of that would be separated by semicolon like this. Okay, now once we separate in once we use a split on a string and set the delimiter like this, that means these semicolons will be turned into commas, this string will be turned into something like this, like each string will be an individual string in that array, and then this will become like this. So it will become an array of strings. Okay, now what we are doing is on this array we are putting a filter function. Now what does this filter function do? Well, it does very basic thing. So the filter function is always on the array. That filter function takes a function as a parameter. Okay, So this filter function takes a function and a parameter, and that function fn gets executed with these parameters, which is the item. So item refers to the each individual item in the array over here. Then the index, it refers to the each individual elements index in that array. So this will be 0, this will be 1, and this will be 2. And the last one is the array itself. So this entire array itself. Okay. Now the index and the entire array. So here if I write array, these two fields are optional. Okay. So you don't have to worry on that. What we have to worry is the item. So here what I'm doing is iterating in each element, whichever element includes refresh token. So generally we are storing it in this cookie like this. So each element it will go through, and whichever string includes this part of string which is refresh token, that will be taken out and put in a separate array. Okay. So once this function is completed, this refresh token cookie will look something like this. It will be just array, like single array with just one string element. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to just check if there is a refresh token. That means if this array has at least one element in it, which is here. If it's there, then the 0th index is the refresh token that we want. Now split it again into equal to sign. Okay. So this will become again a new array like this. Okay. Now this will be something like this. Okay. And what we want from here is this thing, the first index. Okay. So the first index is our refresh token. So once we get that refresh token from this get refresh token function, then we are getting it over here in the refresh token. We are making a call to database by connecting it, making sure that the refresh token is in the database because we are storing it in the database. Actually, when we log out, we also need to delete that token from the database. So that's one very, very important thing. Once that's there, if there are no token details, that means it's an invalid token. If there are token details, then we just verify the token using JWT package that we install while developing the API. Now, if the token is correct, then it won't go over here in the if loop. It will just go in the next one. It will give us a new token with email and UUID. And then we will put that token in the cookie. We are just consoling the token over here, so we can remove this line, and we are sending back the token just in case. Okay. So that's how we are getting the refresh token. Perfect. Now, once the refresh token is there, we can go into our chat application. Now, let's see the UI of this chat application. What's the UI? What the UI is made up of? Okay. So if I go to this chats.js, I have created two components, which is contacts and messages. Okay. Now, contacts refers to this contacts component, where we are just rendering the list of contacts that we are getting from the front end. I'll tell you, from the chats. I'll tell you how we are getting that contacts as well. Then we have the messages over here, this messages component, which has two components, which is message list and message box, which are over here, message list, message box. And these components have, like the message list has the message component to render each individual message. Now, for simplicity, let's check the contacts. If you understand the contacts list rendering, this message list is just a piece of cake. So let's go to contacts. Here, we are getting contacts as a prop from the chats. So the chats over here, they are making a request using the use effect hook. Okay. Now, what is this use effect hook? Okay. Now, we want to make request for contacts once the user visit the chat page. Okay. Now, if the user has visited the chat page, if this UUID thing is changed, at that time only we want to make requests. Okay. We don't want to keep on making requests to the server to get the contacts, else it will literally hang your browser. So to avoid that, we are using use effect hook. So use effect hook, as the name suggests, it is like a, you could say like a mounted hook for Vue 3 or in Vue.js, or it is as good as saying it will run a function, this part of code, if there are any changes in the list over here. So suppose this UUID changes, then this function will run automatically. If the UUID doesn't change, this won't run. It will be as it is. Okay. Now this is for use effect. Now this use effect will give us a contact. So I have just written a quick API for getting contacts that I will tell you how it works as well. That API takes in the UUID, which is the user's UUID. So if this is my chat dashboard, so it's my UUID, and it will give me the contacts. Whatever contacts are received, I am setting it using a use state. So we have a contact state, so just set the contacts, and once that's set, just pass in over here. Okay, so dynamically the new contacts will be rendered. Now I can also move this code in contacts so that it makes more sense and I don't have to do it again and again. So that's one way, but I have just kept it here for now, and it will just like keep on. So because I have to pass the UUID in the contacts as a prop, so it's like you can either do it outside of the component or you can do it inside of the component. The better way is actually to do it inside of the component. Actually I should have done like that. You should just pass the UUID and then put the use effect in the inside of the component in the contacts. Okay, so that's one. Now let's go and see what's happening here. So if you see, currently there is no messages, but when I hit on this contact, I see the messages over here. Now where are these messages coming from, or what's happening here? So the recipient refers to the receiver or the person in my contact. Okay, and where it is coming from, it is coming from this contact. So you will see there is a function which is being passed as a prompt over here, which is show message. This show message goes to the contacts, that goes to the contact item over here. Okay, so the show message goes over here. Now it's exactly the same that how we did for login. We pass a function to form, or in the form we pass function to form group. In the same way here, we are passing the function from chat to contacts, then contact item. Okay, now in the contact item, which is this component written in separate file, we have UUID. So once it is clicked, we are running the show message for, which is coming from contacts over here. This show message for will take the UUID and put it in the show message, which is going to the chats over here, and this show message will get it to the set recipient. So the set recipient will set the UUID of that recipient over here, and then if there is a recipient, we see the message of only that recipient. Okay, we don't see messages of other recipient because that's what we want. When we select a contact, we want to see here messages only on those recipients. Okay, now if we go to our messages, so inside the messages here we have a get message function. Okay, now this get message function is required for two circumstances. One circumstance when someone selects a contact, and the other circumstance when someone sends a message. Okay, so in that case we will need this, and also when there is actually the third one as well, when we receive a message. Okay, now let's see how it works. So get message will make a request to our API, which we have written in the last videos. So there it gives you the message of all the recipients as well as the senders. So not all the recipients, but the recipient that we have selected and our message as well. So how it's going to act is, when I send a message, at that time I'm a sender, but when someone receives a message, at that time, even though they are recipient, when they send it to me back again something, they are sender at that time. So we need to check the both keys when we get the message. Okay, I'll tell you the code how it works in the Mongoose in the or condition. So the get message, once the messages are there, we just pass it over here. Okay, to the message list, because we are having a set message, so we can remove this console as well, not needed. Now this set messages will put the messages to our message list, and this message list over here is rendering messages in a list form. Now when you render a message, now you will see there is a messages.map, exactly like in the contacts we have contacts.map. Now what is this map function? So map function, what it does is it runs in each individual item of the array, and whatever callback it is given, it's same like filter function, whatever callback it is given, it just execute that callback. So for example, suppose if I have an array of const array equal to 1, 2, 4, 5, something like this. Now if I want a separate array where in that array each element is nothing but the square of these elements. So in that case, I will have something like this: square array equal to array dot map. Then again it will take a function as item index array, and then I will have something like return. So it will be straight away return into item. Okay, so it will be square, and then this will become the square array will be something like 1, 4, 16, 25, something like this. Okay, this is what's happening here. We are getting a contact item components array and we are just exploding it over here straight away. Okay, now in that contact item we have a key here. Okay, now this key prop should be passed whenever you're doing a list rendering in React. Okay, so whenever you do list rendering, you need to pass a unique key on each component. We have a contact prop, which is nothing but the detail of the contact and the message. In the same way for the messages, over here we have the key. We have if the messenger or if the message is from the sender or it's from the recipient, and we have the message itself. Now how we decide whether it's from sender or not? So if in the message, if I open in the MongoDB Compass, so here you will see inside messages there is a sender and there is a receiver. So if the sender UUID is exactly equal to the logged in person UUID, that means it's a sender. So we just set the sender equal to true. So this will set it if equal to true if it is correct. If it's not correct, it will be false. And that goes up all the way over here to the message. Now here we are saying if the sender is true, then we just put some styling which to float right. If it's not, we put it at the float left, and then we have those right and left kind of messages as we have it on a normal chat. Okay, then we have the message box. So the message box is nothing but this component over here. So this send button and this text area or input type. Now there on the message box we have a use state to get the message, of course, and then a send function to send the message. Okay, now this API will take the receiver ID. So this will be the UUID that we have sent over here in the message box. So this is nothing but the recipient, and once the message is sent, we are passing a get message function to be true. So it's like saying that, okay, re-render the message. So here we are having the get messages function. So that get messages function is over here. Okay, then if I go back again over here, we are setting the message back to a blank string, so that once the message is set, we just need to clear the field. We also have a function to handle the enter key. So someone hit the enter key after they send the message should be sent. So in that case, we have that functionality as well here. And now on how we are using these two. So we are having the use state on change for input and on key press to handle enter key over here. So we just take the event because when you press a key, it's an event itself. So we are just checking if the event dot key is enter, then yes, send a message. If not, it won't do anything. And the on click button having the send over here. You can also wrap this in a form, so it's one and the same. So in that case, you don't need this on key press because form on hits enter key, it submits. So I'll just use the div for now to just explain this handling key on the input, but you can also have it as a form. So that's in general for our message. So if I say something here, MERN stack is great, something like this, I hit enter and the message goes over here. Okay, now let's check on the backend side what's happening behind the scene. So behind the scene over here, as I said, I have made one small changes in the contacts. So here to get the contacts, first I'm getting the user. Now that user, as we're having the middleware which checks the token, and if the token is correct, it extracts the information of the user and put it in the request as a user object over here. So we are finding the user based on that. This is nothing but the sender. Then we are getting, so we don't need this, and once we have that, we are having the contact. So how it will work? So there is in SQL, there is an in operator. In the same way in Mongoose or in MongoDB, there is in $in operator as well. So we are finding all the UUIDs which are present in this user.contacts UUID, because in our Mongo Compass database or in MongoDB, if I go to users over here, you'll see each user has a contact and that contact is nothing but the list of UUIDs. Okay, so I've just put it as a list of UUIDs. You can put it as a list of collections, whichever you like, but these are hard-coded values which are nothing but the UUIDs of the users which are already there. So once we have that, this will return the list of users which are in that array of your contacts, and those contacts we are again using a map function because we don't want to send the password to the front end. So to avoid that, we are only exposing certain details like this over here, and we are sending it back over here. Okay, so this contact details will be a new array of these objects where each object will be having email.user.email, name, past contacts, password, something like that. Okay, this will send contacts the front end. Now for the message controller, there is a small change. Here it was previously like this. Okay, so we just need to change this because this OR operator needs a separate key value pair object array. So it's like an array of objects. So we just need to just a small change. Sorry for that, it was a mistake from my side. So we just need to change that. And now that's all being said. So we have now a complete working, not complete, but around 90% working chat application. So now the next thing is to have the real-time notification with pusher. So let's check on that. All right, now let's see how to handle pusher notifications on the front end. So if we go to the pusher console, so I'll just open this console. Here it's getting started. So here you will get a code snippet on what to do. Please do not copy these keys because I am gonna delete this keys after the video is recorded. So it says here to get the script tag, but we don't need the script tag. We can use the pusher.js library. So it's a client-side library. So to install it, it's pretty simple. You just need to do npm install pusher.js, pusher-js, which is this one here over this one. So once that's installed, we can just copy this code snippet and modify it accordingly. So if I go back to my code over here, and if we go to, so let's start from the chat over here. So the one more small modification I have added here is, first we need to make sure that the notification object is there in the window. Okay, if it's not there, we say that your browser doesn't support real-time notification. That's for sure. Then we have a like a use state over here. So this set permission will come from over here. Actually, this should be, if permission is granted, it should be something like this over here. So let's take it from here and let's do it over here like this. And it should be something like this. Okay, so if the permission is granted, we set it to true. By default, this is false. And here we change it once it is granted. So even if it's granted, it's like we can just go back over here. No need to request it again. So what we could do is we can have another use effect for that, or we can just write it in the same use effect. So we can have something like this. Else if notification.permission is granted, then we can just set it to true. Okay, so that's done. Now once the notification is granted, we need to pass those two permissions, like the true permissions, to the contacts and the messages component. Now in the contacts component, we need that because we are running the pusher script in there as well as in the messages component. Now here in the contacts, so it is passing it to the contact item. The contact item will require it to put that blue dot. So whenever there is a message, there will be a blue dot. Now we are sending the message on the receiver channel. So here we should listen for the sender channel. Okay, and in the sender channel data, so in the message controller, I just added a field over here. Along with message, we are sending the sender UUID. So just to have like a double check. So if the sender UUID and the data.sender UUID, they are same, then we shouldn't show this dot, because we don't want to show a dot once we send a message. We want to show the dot once we receive the message. So we just need to show the dot if they are not equal. We are handling the click on each click. So if we click on the contact, so once the message are shown, we just set that show dot to false. Now to the messages component, again doing the same thing here. We are using it in a use effect. So if the permissions are granted, we subscribe to that channel and we just listen for the new messages coming in. Okay, now This message again is same like for the receiver side, so it will get refreshed for the receiver, but for the sender we are already sending the doing the get message. So let's test it into two different browsers. So one browser I have it here, which is Ati. The other browser is me as well. So let's check it out. So here I'm gonna say, hi, how are you doing? You see we have a real-time notification here. If you click on that, the dot goes. Did you subscribe to web dev with artisan? I will. Did you like his video? I will. Did you share his channel or videos? I will. Again, that's how it's funny it is. So uh, that's all in this and for this entire series. Hope you like this series, and please, if you like this series, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you feel like this video and this playlist is worth sharing with your network, please share this with your network. So that's all for this. If you have any questions or if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask in the comment section. So see you in the next video. Till the next time, goodbye.